Hello, black sheep. How are you? The answer is good. You're doing good. Okay. But listen, I wanted to share my experience with the Nine of Swords slash Nine of Swords reversed. So I do a weekly reading and I'll pull two cards. And every day I put out those same two cards and then I draw an additional card. And the cards of the week that I'm talking about was the Magician reversed and the King of Swords reversed. That combination let me know that there's a lot of potential that I have that I'm not tapping into because of some aspects that I'm going through mentally. I am struggling mentally, and that is preventing me from being the magician that I am. And there's this particular day where that whole concept of the meaning of that combination was clear. And it was because I also got the Nine of Swords reversed. And when I got that card, it out of all of the cards that week, because it was later in the week, I think maybe Thursday or Friday, it was later in the week. And so every other card, it didn't feel as heavy as the combination of the Magician reversed, King of Swords reversed, the Nine of Swords reversed. It really hit me in my chest or in my head. And that day, I just knew that I needed to do some deep diving on what's going on with my mind. And I didn't necessarily feel that anything was off or that anything was necessarily wrong. And I mean, at the beginning of the week, I pulled the two cards of the week. I didn't feel like I really understood what it was about. We get to the middle of the week and it's like, you know, okay, I can, I'm really trying to understand. And just like with almost every other week, there's this one day where it just hits me. And so the Magician reversed, King of Swords reversed, Nine of Swords reversed. I went into deep reflection this day. I went into deep reflection of the Nine of Swords reversed. The Nine of Swords is when our mind hits this mode of sabotage when transformation is happening. The Nine of Swords is the mind obviously being anxious, but it's like this panic as the mind realizes that the shift, the shift, the final shift, the final stage of the shift is happening. And so I went for a walk and I just asked myself, what is it that, where am I um, telling myself things that aren't true? Where am I making decisions that are fear based? Where is a shift happening? In what areas of my life is there a shift happening? But I am afraid of it. Maybe it's hidden fear. And so in some areas it was hidden fear, in others it was obvious. I had this one opportunity where it called me to show and prove some of the things I've been claiming over the years of the type of consultations I've been offering. In a major way, an opportunity came through, and I had to address some fears there. There were a lot of different areas that I had to call myself out for, where I was procrastinating or prolonging taking action. Isn't that just the definition of procrastination? Or where I was just not in the place of confidence that was necessary to get things done. But the main thing that stood out to me is something that I have thought of before, but it's not something I consider as an anxiety that I deal with daily. And that is this concept that there isn't enough time in the day. And that is what I've been believing. And that is like the common denominator of majority of my fears that I considered during this time. The common denominator is that, well, if I had more time, I'd be able to do this thing and be able to do that thing and get it all done. And that's a lie. It's an excuse, because that day, I'm trying to remember if it was that day or the next, but that day, while the baby was taking a nap, I set a 20-minute timer to take action in this area where I've been procrastinating. And then I'd set a 30-minute timer to take another action in this other area I've been procrastinating. And I set time blocks to prove that there is enough time in the day if you're strategic and mindful about planning, and um, just if you just know that there's enough time in the day, you'll make it work. But if you tell yourself that's not enough time in the day, then that will be true. And so that was one of the most major things in my awareness that I allowed to come through that day, that has been a lie, and that there is enough time in the day. And the last thing that I've been on edge about, and the reading gave me the push that I needed to make that decision, that final decision. And that's why I'm making this video. And that is about my hair. a long time ago. This was like maybe 6 months ago. I can't tell you. I'd have to look back and see. This is why I journal a lot, take a lot of notes, because when it comes to referencing time, I have to actually pull out my references. I'm not going to remember what happened September 24th, 2001. I don't know, but my husband's that way, so I know it's possible. But I'm not that way. So I don't know how long it's been when I was busy with the baby on a daily basis, and as if here we are 7 months later, as if that's changed. But anyway, and so I decided I was going to do itty bitty braids in my hair. And that way, it would be a cute style that lasts 2 months. And that's when I was going to take it out. And I wouldn't have to worry about daily maintenance that much. And that was the plan. I was extraordinarily optimistic. I actually thought I was going to take that out. I spent 3 to 4 days putting them in, maybe. And I never took them out. So my hair is currently locked by accident. But let me tell you something. This isn't the first time I've done it, which makes it doubly of a what the moment. Because if I struggled with it the first time and they weren't as small, why would I go and make them smaller in another style later? Again, I was being optimistic, right? And so there is something different about this time, not just because they're smaller. It's sorry, there was an interruption. So there was something off about being able to unravel my hair this time. There has been a lot of distractions from doing it. There have there was this heaviness around doing it. Like, why is it so hard for me to unravel, to make time to unravel my hair? And it's not the first time I've cut my hair. I had locks for over 11 years, I believe, and I cut my hair then. And so up until now, I hadn't cut my hair again. I have just been letting it grow, and it had gotten pretty long. To be straightforward about it, I mean, basically, I was like, if it's so hard for me to get around to unraveling my hair, maybe I should just cut it. And the thought of it was like, ugh, I don't want to cut my hair. Cutting my hair now is more emotionally heavy than when I cut my hair when I had locks. My locks were past my butt. And wouldn't that be more of an emotional attachment than now? It doesn't make any sense. You get what I'm saying, right? That I had my hair for 11 years. It was past my butt. I cut it like it was nothing. And I've had my hair for what? Okay, 3 years, 2.5 years since then, and now I'm all like concerned. So it just doesn't make much sense on the surface. And so the day, and this, I've been thinking about this for a month or more about the concept of cutting my hair. And so time's gone by, and I'm thinking about the Nine of Swords reverse, and it comes up. I was like, wait, my hair. I've been procrastinating with my hair as I'm going through the list of things that I've been procrastinating about or feeling fearful about in general. And I'm like, well, what about my hair? And I was like, you know what? I'll do divination. I'll consult divination and ask if I should cut my hair. And then I was like, I don't need to do that. I know I can come up with the answer right now. And so I reflected on it longer. And then it became clear what to do, because the Nine of Swords is about a lack of clarity, your mind coming through with all of these thoughts of anxieties, all of these lies, all of these projections. And it's all distractions from, again, that transformation that you're going through. And so if I'm about to have a shift of mindset, if I'm about to be thinking on a whole nother level, then I'm interpreting this as a push to go ahead and cut my hair. Your hair holds energy. Cutting your hair is symbolic of a new you. That's one reason why in ritual ceremonies, you're required to cut your hair. In initiations, to embrace, acknowledge the new you, to rid of the energy that's been in your hair, and that's just a few reasons. That's just a few associations of the hair, right? It is very meaningful and symbolic, and maybe we'll dive into it. Maybe we'll dive into it after I cut the hair. Maybe I'll set up a presentation for a video or something. Not sure. But it made perfect sense. I'm coming into a new me. I'm needing to get some clarity in my thinking. What better way to do that than to cut your hair? Your head, to clear your head physically, spiritually. And so this is how I've come to the conclusion to cut my hair. I thought it would be really cool to do it on live. My account said that I can do it live, but either way, I'm not doing it, because I would hate to do a live and have it interrupted because my baby woke up, or in the middle of, I needed a more controlled environment. And so I won't be cutting it on live, but I still wanted to share this. And let me show you what happened. Let me show you what happened with my hair. I went through, and I have these two sections here have been detangled and unraveled. And then all the rest of my hair is locked. And so now I have to figure out how is it that I'm going to cut it, especially with my especially with the front of my hair about to be clearly a lot longer than the rest. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off. And I'm going to cut it off and then let a stylist most likely the same stylist that I went to after I had cut my locks. I'm going to let her make sense of it all. So may the force be with her. Okay. It's all matted up in there, and yeah. So wow. Wow. Smells good. But so yeah, I'm clearly serious about that. So I just wanted to cut some of it off on camera because I definitely should be cutting it today, tonight, and I wanted to give myself that starting point. Especially since I made the decision days ago, last Thursday. It is currently Monday, I think. Or is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday. So this is more so me sharing my experience with the Nine of Swords, and I'd be happy to hear about your own experience and if you've had any major awareness moments with either of these cards: the Magician reversed, King of Swords reversed, Nine of Swords reversed. What has been your experience? Thank you so much for tuning into this frequency, home of the black sheep. These videos are just for you. So let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. Bye.